We have breaking news. This just in. We have limited edition t-shirts and hoodies available on the website, unofficiallounge.com. Get yours while they last. Everything's for sale. Like and subscribe. Now back to this episode.
The Unofficial Lounge with Ashante, Graybon, and Monty. We're here to give you the insight into some of the biggest plays you remember, involving the people wearing the stripes. We look at the grit it takes to become an official, while exploring the history of officiating with the people who made it. It's more than black and white. On this episode, we talk to Maia Chaka, newly minted Pac-12 line judge and high-level NCAA Division I basketball referee.
And now football, I understood football was now becoming more political because there was less people to protect me. I was pretty much on my own at that point. And me, I'm not a political person. I'm like I like to get to know people. That's how I am. I'm a genuine person. If you're not my friend, I can't fake be friends with you, And so I noticed that was like a huge thing. The next step up with officiating, you had to learn to be political and had to learn to play the game.
Maia talks about some of the bumps she's had along the way in her rapid ascent into Conference USA.
So actually in Conference USA, with Gerald put me on the crew with Brad Rogers being my first referee on the college crew. So I worked with Brad for 3 years. And so he took responsibility, not only for me, but anybody else on the crew who probably had like a downfall or had a bad game. He took responsibility as a leader and took it personal. And then he made us get better every single week.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Unofficial Lounge. We are joined today by Maia Chaka. I mean, she has such an amazing story that we're going to get to hear today. She lives in Virginia Beach right now, but she is from New York, and she has that New York swag about her, which we will talk about. She's also a basketball official, let alone a Pac-12 line judge official. First year, this year will be her full-time experience on crew. We can't wait to have her as part of our conference. Maia, welcome to the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me on.
Well, how you doing, Maia?
I'm doing well. You guys doing all right?
Fantastic.
So, Maia, before we get into the officiating world, grew up in Rochester. How did you wind up in Virginia Beach?
Well, because I ended up going to school at Norfolk State University. And so that's what brought me down to Virginia, mostly because I had to take care of my great aunt. She was getting up in the age and was going through Alzheimer's and dementia. So my decision to move to Virginia and attend Norfolk State was pretty much thinking family first and becoming her caregiver while I was here.
Okay. All right. So did you play basketball while you were in high school?
I played basketball in high school. I also played basketball at a junior college. I did 2 years of junior college at a school called Finger Lakes, like in upstate New York. And I did have the opportunity to play Division I basketball after there, but I made the decision to go to a different school other than the choices that I had.
Okay.
So
and now you are a PE teacher, I believe, in Virginia Beach?
That's correct. I teach at-risk youth in Virginia Beach. I've been doing that for about 14th year with that right now, all with alternative education. I never want to teach in a regular high school. I've only wanted to deal with that population of students.
Why is that?
Well, for me, growing up, for one, I didn't grow up in a conventional household. Like, I'm a product of a single parent household. I had my father who dealt with substance abuse and mental illness for pretty much all of his life. So I grew up around that, and I grew up with my mom pretty much going through a depression. So I almost raised myself as a kid. So I kind of know what it feels like for those kids who are struggling and having those issues.
Oh, okay. So are you an only child, or do you have siblings?
I have an older sister and a younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hold up. So how is it you dealing with those kids to now, well, you grew up that way to now you're dealing with those kids turning out in those late homework assignments with the Zoom meetings? How's that? Are you compassionate?
I'm for the most part I am, because I understand everybody has a different story. But you still have to draw your boundary lines of where you want to be respected as a professional. But I always try to put students first, and try to put myself in their shoes if I was like that young, because some of these kids are probably taking care of their siblings, probably taking care of their parents, grandparents. Nobody ever knows what's going on behind closed doors.
So does that thought of making sure that you're understanding how the kids are behaviorally, does that give you a good insight into looking into other people as you've been moving up in the ranks, kind of putting yourself in other people's position and their other people's thought process while you've been moving up? Because
So
it seems like you're always looking from a different perspective.
So for me, what I look at first is, number one, I'm put on this earth. I'm put on here to be a servant. And that's just the way that I feel. In order to be a servant or to give service to somebody, you have to understand what everybody is going through at some point, because everybody's going to have a story. Everybody's going to have some type of history that's going to follow them. And sometimes people don't listen to other people's stories. And so I just want to sometimes just be that person to be able to listen and get to know somebody, and try to help out as much as I possibly can. And I think with that helps you as you start to transition up into the world, because of that, and because of me being able to understand different people, I can relate to a diverse demographic.
That's awesome.
All right. So you're teaching now, you're doing it over Zoom. We're all dealing with this whole COVID thing. But let's get into the good stuff now. What made you start officiating? And what sport did you start with?
So, all right. So this is actually pretty interesting. I started officiating because, if you noticed earlier, I talked about my basketball career got cut short early. I thought I probably could have played a little bit longer than what I did, but I chose not to, just for professional reasons. And so me officiating, that was just my way of sports and trying to just be a part of something that's competitive, because I've always had that fight in me. I actually wanted to start officiating basketball first. But I was with a coworker who was a PE teacher with me at the time, and he did high school football. And he told me to do football first because that's when the training class was first. I said, I really don't know anything about football. I'm a basketball player. He goes, well, it doesn't matter. You're an athlete. You understand the game. You understand the rules. Goes, just give it a try. It's learning something new. So football was actually the first sport I started officiating. And I dove like headfirst into it because I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the challenge of me not knowing every single rule and me having to actually dedicate myself to get better. That was the fun part for me. So I pretty much deprogrammed myself from basketball for about 10 years, just trying to perfect or trying to master the football game.
Spit that
So
whistle
you
out,
tell
huh?
him, right, or maybe not have started if it was basketball meeting was first?
That's correct.
Okay.
It was just all about the timing.
So were you the
Okay.
only female to start at that time in your area?
In my area, we had a young lady that was already on the board, already on my high school board. So I'm not the first one in my area. I am like one of the first people, or the first woman in my area to pretty much work a state championship and work playoff games.
Hold up, hit that button. Hold up, you already stunting too soon. Slow down, slow down.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta flex on them real quick, not even trying to, but no, seriously. Sometimes for me, like, I'm not a bragging type person. I'm really humble and down to earth. I try not to throw out what I do. But sometimes
It was real easy. It was real easy.
Not later, like later on in my life and later on in my career, I'm really getting to understand that, I've accomplished some pretty good things. And sometimes I have to pat myself on the back humbly, because sometimes other people just aren't going to do it for you. And so that's just how you maintain that confidence, and all that boosts into your swagger, being on the sideline. So you just have to be able to know that you are worthy and that you're worth it.
So when you started out, I know we all start out, and the coaches could be, let's say, not the best when you first starting football, and given that you were new to it, how hard was it to deal with the coaches on the sports you didn't know?
On the high school level or going
Yeah,
to
high school. Yeah, everybody.
No, Pop
Hold up,
Warner.
high school,
Pop
Warner,
Warner.
all of it.
so the funny thing about high school and Pop Warner is, and this is no disrespect to the coaches, but the majority of coaches on high school and Pop Warner didn't know anything about the rules as much as what I knew at the time. So I mean, but you did have some of the coaches who were very knowledgeable, and they did challenge me a little bit. And so that caused me to go back into my rule book, dig deep and to understand what's going on. Mostly it was the parents, especially if you work in Pop Warner, because I work Pop Warner every Saturday. Like I will get up, work a game from 8 to 4 and just work every single level on a Saturday because I just wanted to be good at it. And I would say my biggest challenges would be the parents, because the parents are right on your back in a football game and they're running with you down the field. There is no parents, no coaches box. So I would say that was probably the biggest challenge there.
So how many times did they say they was gonna go to the trunk on you in the Pop Warner?
I think the novelty of me being a woman, which is, I really don't play that card. The novelty of me being a woman on the field, most of the parents were just excited that I was out there with that because their daughters were cheerleaders. They didn't have any daughters that were football players. It was just something that was new to that. So, I mean, they did have that line of respect. And then most of the parents recognized me or they knew me from around the community and, dealing with school. So
Did having someone on the board kind of help you kind of acclimate to that situation?
You talking about the other female that was on the board?
Correct.
Well, for me, it wasn't necessarily her. It was the commissioner that we had. He was very progressive, and he put me on a crew with guys who were already working college football, like worked every Saturday, like D2 football. And so immediately after my first year in, he immediately hooked me up with the crew. We worked 7-man mechanics. So I'm working with 6 guys who go and work Saturday football every single Friday. So that helped me out with me being a professional. So they started to groom me early. They gave me a college rule book early, and they told me this is what I need to study because they said I had a bright ceiling. So I would give the credit to my high school crew.
Okay, awesome.
So you knew right off getting into football officiating that college was available to you?
Not really. I was just doing it. Like when I first got in, I was just doing it because it was fun. Nobody obviously mentioned that, hey, you can go work college, you can do this. They were just feeding me the rules and they were just inviting me to college scrimmages, but they didn't really tell me the process about going to camps and how to move up. Because in my area, there aren't that many officials that are working Power 5 football in my area. I think we had like 1 or 2 guys in the ACC and they're no longer there. So no one.
So another thing too, as far as being a female official, how was it like, because dressing out and all that, the locker room situation, how was that like when you first starting out also?
So when I first started, it was difficult because they don't really have the 2 locations, especially going to high school. There aren't 2 locations. The referee that I worked with, he always made sure that I had equal and he always took care of me. And if they didn't have 2 separate locations, he would let me go in and change first. And then the crew would change afterwards and I'll come in. So that was taken care of. I could recall a time when I did work some D3 ball and it wasn't the same. And so I was working with a bunch of guys that didn't look like me and that weren't in a favor of me being around. And so there were times that the guys would have extra large locker rooms and I had the old dingy, dirty high school gym with the cockroaches crawling all over it.
Got the broom closet.
I would ask if, you don't mind me going in and, going in first. They didn't want me to do that. They wanted me to change the locker room. Or I would have to change into like a bathroom stall.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but it's for the love of the game, right?
Right. That's right. That's the grind.
That's what they say.
Well, how many times we've been in our cars changing?
Right. Changing clothes as I'm driving to the high school freshman game that starts at 3:00 and trying not to kill myself.
I left early to keep my base layers on underneath everything. So if push comes to shove,
yeah, there you go.
You just throw your uniform on.
Yeah.
So were you doing both sports at the same time?
No, see, the crazy thing is I actually started doing basketball. Maybe I'm getting ready to enter my 3rd season in basketball. So it was so crazy. Like football took off for me and I was like fast track, like immediately, because I didn't want to start doing basketball because I wanted to master football. I wanted to get it right. And so I completely removed, like contact in basketball is completely different from contact in football. So I had to train my mind to actually learn a different sport. And so after I started working about 4 years of football is when I started working Division I college basketball. I mean, Division I college football.
What?
What?
Wait.
Hold up. What? Hold up.
Wait.
I was drinking.
Wait.
Slow down.
Hold
Let's
on.
slow down.
Hold on. I have
Oh,
a little bit of I have a little bit of Cavassier, but that much.
Hold
Not
up.
that much. Hold on. Did you say 4 years of efficiency? Yeah.
We like to go slow. What you say? I ain't
Right.
hear that. My headphone. That again? She said how many?
4.
Not 3, but 4.
4.
Okay.
But you figure if you start out working 7 man, you on a fast track. You learning things that people doing 3 man, 2 man, you're not learning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds good, Monty. But nah, that ain't gonna work.
There's some flimflammery going on.
Right.
There's some flimflammery. Hold up. So but you talking about you studying on your state championship and you have to get that like year 2.
Year 3. At the Yeah. So at the end of my 3rd year, I had a state championship game. Then at the end of my 4th year, I had like another playoff game. And I didn't have any intentions of working, and I started in the Conference USA. I didn't have any intentions of working there. Like I went to a camp. I think they tried to get on to work some D3 ball. And I just got lucky. When I walked in the room, there's 120 officials there. I think there was only one other Black person besides myself. And I was definitely the only female that was in the room. So when I walked in, I got some strange stares. And from there, that's where I met Gerald Austin at that clinic, at the Blue Ridge Clinic. And I think he looked at me and was like, all right, I haven't seen her before. We don't have anybody that looks like her. Let me at least try to get to know her. And so we had a conversation. He invited me to work down at a scrimmage in East Carolina. And that's where I went. And at that time, I just thought I was just going to work a scrimmage because I had been working scrimmages at Hampton, Norfolk State, around our area, just going to get snaps with the guys, just not even knowing. So I thought I'm just going down there to get snaps. Well, evidently he liked what he saw, or he liked the report he got. And that's how I ended up getting on. So I wasn't trying, but it was never my goal to go straight to a Division I field. Like I was trying to work D3 and work up. And Gerald's.
Hey, you get the call. Nobody's going. It's not your responsibility to tell them, no, wait, let me do Division III first. We somebody's lying if they say, hey, if I get the call, do all these other levels. Come on now. Whenever we get the call, we're going to take it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gerald's reasoning behind that, he said he knew that I was going to have a hard time coming up because this was back in 2011. And at that time, I think there was one other girl. There was only one other woman that was working Division I football in Conference USA at the time. And I think, I'm not sure what level the other one was working at. I know there's some women that are before me. I know that.
Sure.
Right.
But at the time, there was only one that was working on the FBS level. And so he told me that I would have a real hard time coming up through the ranks and that the people who I was going to be working for were going to make it difficult for me. And I didn't understand what he was saying until I found myself changing in them certain bathrooms and those bathroom stalls.
Right.
He wanted to give me a shot and wanted to teach me.
So this is your work in Conference USA. You're about 6 years in. How do you feel you're doing at this time? What's the response been? How are you being graded?
I think they were nice.
Not graded. Let's not talk about grading.
Sure. Okay.
Let's talk about how do you feel you were doing, and how do you feel you were being treated?
Absolutely.
Not graded.
Okay, so let me tell you this. So first of all, I thought I was doing better than what I was actually doing. So, like when you're young and you're green and you're energetic, like I didn't know when I got into Conference USA, I didn't know how to watch film and break down film. I didn't know that. I didn't know how to see all that. So this was my first time really being able to see myself on film and assess myself. So I'm thinking I'm the greatest thing in the world. I'm the top dog in my area. I'm doing well. Then when you start looking at yourself on film, it's like, yo, I look like that. Like, oh my God. Like, why do I run like that? I threw that foul. Right. So there was definitely a learning curve for me. Like the first the first few years, because, nobody's ever going to get it right, especially not with how green I was. So that was a challenge in itself. In terms of me being treated, I will say that Gerald protected me from a lot. He protected me from a lot. He kept me around people that were going to help me grow as an official. He kept me away from the people who said negative things about me. I mean, I'll give him that much credit.
Right.
Then on top of that, Sarah was in Conference USA prior to me getting there. And so when I first got there, she pretty much gave me the rundown of how you should conduct yourself as a female on a Division I level. So she was very helpful to me. So that was just big for me when I first got in.
And that's Sarah Thomas, who's now currently in the NFL, correct?
That's correct.
So now you're in Conference USA, you're learning, you're developing, and now all of a sudden the NFL come knocking and says, hey, we want you to be a part of their advanced developmental program at the time. How was that?
Again, I'm like, oh my God, they're calling me now. I had no idea, all this was still brand new to me. I was just excited to be around. Early on, I would say that was after my third season in Conference USA. And I worked my first bowl game after that. That was when I was brought into the program initially.
Hey, hold on, Maia. Bowl game. Which bowl game was that?
It was a Fight Hunger Bowl. It was BYU in Washington out in San Francisco. So it was actually a pretty cool bowl game. So at this time, I'm still on a high, just enjoying the moment and not really understanding the process with everything. And so I would say I understood football was now becoming more political because there was less people to protect me. I was pretty much on my own at that point. And me, I'm not a political person. I'm I like to get to know people. That's how I am. I'm a genuine person. If you're not my friend, I can't fake be friends with you, And so I noticed that was a huge thing. The next step up with officiating, you had to learn to be political and had to learn to play the game.
Right. Which is true about all walks of life when you're trying to move up and there's a bunch of people, level for us. It's, there's only so many positions at the Division I level. And then once we go up to the NFL level, we're talking about 121 spots for, 50,000 people that really that feel they should be there. So it's understandable that, we all have to learn that. It's not just, you being a female, you probably had some added to it just because having female officials in football is still new. But as you were coming, it was really new. I mean, there was a couple before you, but nobody was progressing like you and Sarah at the time when you guys were coming through Conference USA, which was new to everybody, which of course added some different dynamics for you.
Well, I will say this, and this is not just the NFL in general. This is when you're moving up the ladder. I've seen a lot of young officials, even young guys, get shot up. Maybe not as quick as going, to the ODP level, but they've gotten shot up real quick through the ranks. And one thing that is that can be frustrating at a time, you might get paired or you might have to work with somebody who may feel that you have taken the spot of somebody that they were campaigning for to get put in. And at that point, things get real tough.
Right. Right.
That person who you are working with might have the ear of the boss, and the boss may be cool with this guy and may have one opinion about him, but he doesn't see the other side of how that person is talking to you or what he's going to say about you behind your back.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a crazy world that we work in, that the person that's in charge, the supervisor at any conference, depending on how your relationship is with that person, can determine if you get that opportunity. I know for me, I've seen 4 different supervisors, move in and out of the conference that I was trying to get into. So every time a new supervisor came in, you had to restart. So the same thing at every level, every conference, if there's a new boss, it's like starting over for everybody in a sense, because you have to start developing those relationships, which can be tough sometimes, especially for a person like yourself. It still was new, and not just you being a female, you have a lot of people that complain that people are going up too fast and so on. And gets a lot of, pushback from it compared to, I had to do this, I had to do this, and so on. But there's a lot of stories of people moving up quickly and being very successful at what they do. So it's not always for everybody. It's the number of years. That's what we try to get people to understand. But that's why we on the unofficial lounge.
Man,
so
that's
now,
BS.
Why you say that?
That's the PC stuff. I thought we were going to talk about the politics.
We're not talking about the politics, but there is some stories of people. Boris never worked college football.
Nope.
He never worked college football, and he's probably one of the best officials in the NFL, in my opinion. So, I mean, it's multiple stories like that. I'm just saying that it's time, as far as how much time you have in, doesn't always make you a good or a bad official.
Well, I think the big thing to that is that everyone has their own special story, and everybody's different, and there's no one who has the same path. Every person's path in this, every person's path here is a different rainbow. You got to follow your yellow brick road.
So now let's talk about that, Maia, because now 4 years in, you were in Conference USA, which is amazing. Now you get into Conference USA, you start to, really see what officiating was all about, because now you're getting reviewed and so on. But you're still going to camps at this time when you're in Conference USA?
I went to one camp.
Okay.
Camp.
Okay.
After that, I didn't really go. And this is the funny thing. So, and I'm going to be real with you right now. So by me being the novelty of me being a black female working Division I football, I now got kind of sort of thrown out there in the spotlight. So I started becoming a clinician. After my second or third year in. And part of this was, a lot of this was, I was fortunate for that. So I would go to these camps and I'll be a clinician. I was very good at doing stuff like on field and telling people where to go. But I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like I was given that opportunity much too soon in my career. There's a lot of times I find myself going to camps and just listen to these people, listening to you in the line of breakouts with people like Ed Camp and Jim Mello and stuff like that. So I'm learning from these guys, being around Wayne Mackey, just hearing them teach the campers. So I'm like, dang, I get 2 clinics. So I
didn't even have to pay to be here.
Exactly. So, and I will say that I was given some opportunities early because of the way that I look, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to keep me around. I still had to do my job and I still had to work. So yeah.
And that ain't your fault. That ain't your fault. They give you opportunities. You better take them.
But I still, let me tell you this, I still work. I still work my butt off.
Absolutely.
In the spring, I think I was working indoor football. At the time, it was like a PIFL, so it was almost like an arena league. And at one time, I had worked more indoor football games than I worked Division I college games. Because when you first get in, I only had 2 games. My first year in Conference USA, I started working indoor football that same year, and I think I had 7 of those games. And then I started working 5 games in Conference USA, another season of indoor, another 7 games. And then finally I had a full schedule with I think 12 games with the bowl game included. And so right then my numbers started adding up. So I actually had more experience as an indoor official than official at the time.
Okay. That's interesting. Working at indoor ball, little different game.
I liked it because it was guaranteed short sleeves, climate control.
So that's a good point, is with your being a female official, what do you have to do to make sure that uniform fits, and that what do you have to do?
Man, let me tell you. So I'll take it back all the way.
You can't take it off the rack and just go?
That's an option? Well, it is an option now. Smitty's just started making women's pants. So
what's the difference? They skinnies. Ain't they just the skinny pants?
I don't know. I haven't received mine yet, but if they skinny pants, that's good. That means it make me look a little slim out there. I'm cool with that. No, but I mean, it was difficult. My very first year in of officiating period was when we wore white knickers.
Oh no. Those things are terrible.
Look, I couldn't stand it, but I think everybody liked me in my white knickers, but I didn't like them because they would almost look like yoga pants. It was so bad. They would either look like yoga pants or clown trousers. You can never get them right. So you take them to your tailor but the waist was always so high on them, so they would have to cut the waist down, take your pockets off. So I had no pockets on my knickers, and they just looked like white stretch pants. So that was like
so. So you had to spend more money on the tailoring that you did to have to purchase the uniform?
I spent more money on the tailoring than I got paid for games.
Wow.
It's crazy. Wow. Even with the when they went to the black pants, you spend even more, or you go ahead and you get a pair of pants tailor made, which is going to cost you anywhere between $100 to $200 a pair.
Right.
Hold up, you got uniforms tailor made?
1 year, couple years, because I got tired of having a bulge in my pants, like
Okay. And that's something that people don't get. Like when you're moving up and you playing at the level you and Craven at, to an extent that you got to get your uniform tailored. You just can't be off the rack and get extra large or 32 pants and just call it a day. You got to somewhat.
You should be doing that at any level that you're working at if you like the way you look. So.
When I was out there,
you still the money on
Pop Warner is like whatever I came out there with. Like
I'm doing 2 games and I'm going to barbecue. 2 and Q.
Anyways, you wearing balling shorts, mesh shorts out there.
Right. 2 and Q, exactly. Baby. 2 and Q.
I remember I used to get in trouble for wearing no-show socks. That was the biggest thing at our association. You can't wear those socks. They got to go up to you. Like, what the? Man, you trying to mess up my tan.
Ankles out there?
Yeah, like, man, you gotta mess up my tan lines.
They was mad he wasn't putting lotion on. That's what it was. Like, man, take your ass and ankle tail.
You're supposed to wear white socks, not gray socks.
So, all right. So the uniform, you had to overcome the uniform and dressing it in a roach-infested locker room. And now how you supposed to keep your sanity as an official on the field? Because I know, like I said, I know the coaches just ain't giving you no breaks.
I mean, all that comes really from preparation. So it's like anybody who's ever been an athlete or anything, you're going to know how to dial in. And you can't just turn it off or on. It's just something that you got to have in you, that you've rehearsed it, and it becomes second nature to you on the field, especially being a line of scrimmage official, because you're involved in every single play. You can't take a play off. So whatever I do on the line of scrimmage now, it's just like I can do it without even thinking, because it's a process I've already put into it. Now, every now and then something may happen. It might wake you up, like you get a loose ball or something. Now that gives you a different type of reaction that you got to react to, but you've worked at it so long. And I've had so many bad calls throughout my years, growing up and coming up as an official, that I had to learn from that. So like now when I see the situation, I'm prepared for it.
Right. So now as you're coming up, and you're progressing through, who's some of the mentors that were helping you through this? I know Gerald was a good mentor for you, but who else was somebody out there that you were talking to that was really helping you out as far as, your career progressing?
All right. So I have a couple of them. Right now, actually, somebody that I would like to say he probably saved my career, because he came in at a time where I was just feeling like my back was against the wall and I was hitting a plateau as an official, and I didn't know how to get better. It's because, when you work at a certain level, and it's no disrespect to Conference USA or anything, but if you want to work at the next level, you got to work with people who are on the next level. Absolutely. And I was just happy when Chuck Stewart actually reached out to me, and he decided to take me under his wing and, just really teach me how to be a line of scrimmage official at the next level. And so I'm forever loyal and forever grateful to him and what he has done for me. And he keeps it real with me. Like, he doesn't hold any punches. So that's real important for me. Go ahead, Craven.
No, Chuck is a friend of the show. We've had him on multiple times. We probably going to have, when your show air, we may have a snippet from him about you on the show. So just be prepared. So we know that Chuck don't hold back from anybody whatsoever.
So did he give it to you straight? No chaser, or did he cut it with something?
Nah, man. Chuck is always a straight shot. He told me how garbage I was.
Oh, but hold up. You just said Gerald babied you, and he kept you away from that. So now you have to hear it. You get some real feedback. How did that?
I mean, he did it constructively. So it wasn't like, the people that Gerald kept me away from were the people that he knew was just going to try to bring me down and wasn't going to try to, weren't going to try to help me grow. So he kept me away from the negative people. But in terms of like Chuck, like, that when he starts shooting at you, you know you're going to get something from it. And he's not just going to tell you something just to try to build, try to tear you apart. It's really, if you want to get better and if you want to be great at this, you have to strengthen all your weaknesses.
Right.
So
one of his famous lines. What you looking at? What you looking at right now?
What you looking at?
What you looking at right now? I'm looking at this. No, you ain't. I can see the bill of your cap. You ain't looking right there. Look at your cap. Look. So yes, that is Chuck. So who else was, I know that's been more recent for you over the last, few years, but going into it, you had your high school crew that you were working with. Was there anybody else that really played a strong part?
So actually in Conference USA, with Gerald put me on the crew with Brad Rogers being my first referee on the college crew. So I worked with Brad
Hit the
for
button,
3 years. Oh, so you want me to just name drop everybody? Nah, but
well, no. We know we're talking about
Brad
Rogers, NFL referee now, correct?
Yeah. He was amazing just because I just saw his work ethic and like what he did every single day, every single game to prepare every single week. And just him, he was also a teacher. So by me being so inexperienced and coming in, I made so many mistakes in his games. Like I go back and watch my film now from my early years. I'm like, man, I don't understand how I still have a job. But Brad actually taught me, like every time I made a mistake, he'd go over my film with me, or he'll send somebody else on my crew with me to sit down and actually help me get better. And he took a lot of the pressure off of me in terms of dealing like with coaches and other stuff that was going on. He's a true leader. And so he took responsibility, not only for me, but anybody else on the crew who probably had like a downfall or had a bad game. He took responsibility as a leader and took it personal. And then he made us get better every single week.
Nice. So now your career is progressing on, your NFL ODP, your Pac-12 ODP, and your career is just going. How much of a grind was that, just, waiting for that next opportunity to show, because you want to get to Power 5. Mm-hmm. How were you feeling just, every year just looking up like, hey, this may be the year, it's not the year. It's maybe the year, it's not the year.
So I'm not even gonna lie, I got a little frustrated because, as you noticed, like in the beginning, like it was just a fast track for me. Like, 4 years here, boom, I'm moving up. 4 years, I'm moving up. Then everybody's in your ear. They're telling you the next one, or they're telling you this, they're telling you that. So you listening. So sometimes you get a little down on yourself. And this is actually where another person comes into play. When I started working with Reggie Smith, and he was my referee when we were working in the Alliance League. And Reggie and I are close to the same age, but he's been refereeing since he's been 12 or something like that.
That's right.
Right.
The most experienced. And with him, it was real important for me to work with him. Number one, I got a lot of confidence after working with him. So I understood that.
Your head got bigger than it already was?
What's up?
Your head got bigger than it already was?
Actually, you know what? The crazy thing is I was so quiet like before, and I was afraid to speak about anything because I didn't want to come off as wrong. I was afraid to speak my mind because I didn't want to come off as being like the angry black chick.
Right.
So it took me a while to speak up for myself.
I have witnessed that, because we were at a couple places together and you was all quiet, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what year it was, at Tom Beers. Woo! Yeah. The Chaka came out. Maia went away and Chaka came out. Boy, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just after a while, it's like, you know what? I don't have nothing to lose. So it's like, you're either going to take me for who I am or not take me at all at that point. So I was just like, it is what it is. But like Reggie himself is another one, like, and he's worked with a lot of people who have passed him. And just me having a conversation with him about that and about having to be humbled for a minute, and him helping me through those times and just actually helping me become a better official. At the professional level, and him being a Division I Power 5 official, Power 5 referee, he just helped me prepare and helped me how to fine tune everything I already had and how to bring it every single week to be prepared for the next level.
So do you think now you're treated as an official when you walk in the room, or do you think you're treated as a female official when you walk in the room first?
I think now it's definitely official.
Awesome.
Definitely. And if there's anybody who thinks anything different, they don't speak up or say anything to me. So It is.
Sound like you'll slap him.
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
It sound like you'll slap him. You just like they don't say nothing.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
all my life.
All my life.
So now, Maia, this off season, you got the call. You're gonna be full time with the Pac-12. This whole COVID thing is messing up for everybody. But
hey,
how excited?
Hold on.
Hey man, don't play that button. Don't play that button.
When's the last time he was in the Pac-12, man? That's big time.
Bring that up. We don't want to hear that, man. So,
congratulations, man. Hold on.
So
too long
outside of this COVID thing, really, putting a fracture in the season and in life in general, how excited were you after getting that phone call?
Man, let me tell you this. I was very excited because, I've been around in the development program for the Pac-12 for 4 years. And it was like every year you get a game. Every year you may get 2 games. Some years you may not get one, but then all of a sudden you pick one up at the last minute. Like, you playing double dutch and you're trying to get into the ropes, right? So now it's like I'm playing double dutch and now I'm in the ropes, but all of a sudden my footwork gets messed up. So that's what it's like. It's like now I got to start all over and wait again. So, I was super pumped, to even get the call. I was very excited to have the call to be joined full time. And then it's like, now we can't start Labor Day weekend. We just got it on layaway for a little bit, I'm
a little bit.
I'm used to layaway. When I was a kid, that's what we grew up on, layaways.
Got some Kmart blue light specials.
Yeah. So.
This is some extreme layaway. We hoping we could get this out before Thanksgiving.
Boo-hoo,
yeah, it's
man.
crazy.
Hey, you can't have heavy ankles in double dutch. Remember that. So lift your feet up.
But he just told me I got cankles.
So going into the season, as Cravon brought up, I like I said, I don't envy any of you guys. So now you was getting prepared in March, then the season got postponed. So what's the preparation like now?
So we've had so many different like Zoom calls that you can do, that you can be a part of, and it's like zoomed out, Zoom back to back to back. So I would say between going from March all the way up until I think like August, like it was just so many Zoom calls back to back. And I think when we got the announcement that our season will be postponed, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I had to give myself a brain break because it was you're just going so hard. You just took the CFO test, you took your clinic test, you're doing everything you need to do to prepare. And all of a sudden it's like, you just got to sit back and watch. So I took about a good 2 weeks off of just not even looking at football, not even looking at any rules, because I just needed a break for myself. And now, since football's back on TV, I just started picking up and watching games. And I do mentor a lot of officials that are on lower level. And I mentor some.
She's starting again. You starting again.
Oh, she ain't stunting. She telling me what it is.
But that's what it's about. It's about giving them back, though, right?
That's it. She doing what everybody should do at the level she's at.
Man, everybody working is trying to get a hand up. Man, everybody needs to talk to somebody.
I tried to warn you. Let me apologize.
Hey, man.
We had the diva and the hater to show Ashanti.
You the reason why I got into this game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but boy, oh boy.
You're the reason.
But your attitude is woo-hoo.
Man,
anyway.
Come on, man. They love me.
You looking in the mirror.
What was it? Anyway, I'm hip, I'm slick, and they love my cologne.
Right. So I got another one. All right. So what's your first humbling experience officiating?
It's got to be like one of my first games where every single call I had went to review and it got overturned. So yeah, that's crazy. I think I had my first game, I might have had like 3 calls that went to replay and they got overturned. And when I look back at those calls now, it's like, man, like how did I blow that? And then my second game, it was the same. It was like 3. And so we had this little on my crew, and this continued for like my first year or 2 in Conference USA. Not even gonna lie, it's a growing curve. It's a learning curve. That's why I was only able to work schools that had losing records. No. because I wasn't good. So no matter what I did in the game, it wasn't going to hurt anything. It was just, that's just the nature of the conference I was in. And he had the luxury of doing that in order to help me grow. So, I mean, it just got to a point, like on our crew, we had a fining system. So every time somebody did something wrong, we had to pay $5. And so it got to a point for me, I was just going and paying $40 ahead of time at the beginning.
Here's my C note. Wow.
and then sometimes I would think that they would just go ahead and make stuff up for me to get fined in the game. And we got fined for everything, throwing up the wrong down, calls being overturned. Sometimes instead of $5 was $10. Like anything, they were just fining just for me to just do, just to keep putting money in the pocket. So, I mean, that was just humble in itself, having to realize exactly how much work that I had to do.
So when did you realize that they was playing you after a while? Like, hold up, I put up the wrong down. Everybody do that.
I mean, everybody got caught. So that was the thing. Like, no matter what somebody did, they would find a way to catch them doing something. But with me, it was always extra, like coming in the locker room 2 minutes late or something, you know, just something crazy. Something fine. But it was all out of fun and games because the money went somewhere good and went somewhere positive anyways.
Yeah, I'd have been broke, Monty. Hey, Monty, I'd have been broke that first shit. We worked together.
Man, he was coming in a half hour late here, half hour late there. I was like, God, dog.
They ain't tell me what part.
So now you're still working basketball now, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So what's the difference between now that you have all the experience that you have in football? What's the difference between officiating football compared to basketball for you now?
I'll tell you one thing. Me officiating basketball, and this will maybe where you see all the swagger coming from now. Officiating basketball, you're like on an island and everybody's watching you. So you need to have confidence because everybody can tell when you're not ready, you're not prepared when you fish out of water. So being able to have that basketball experience and also with like the processing time, because basketball, every play is a judgment play. Every play you have to make a decision, and you got to make a decision quick, fast. There's no delay. In football, there's a little bit of a delay before you have to make a decision. You know, you don't have to throw your flag on the spot, but in basketball, once you call a foul or you call a violation, your whistle blows, the game stops.
Right. You can't wave them off?
What's up?
You can't wave off them fouls if you know it's not there?
Man, you can wave off them fouls when the coaches be all up on your butt. If you want to. I said, man. So I would say that has made me, officiating basketball has made me a stronger football official. So
that it does, because football coaches is one thing, but basketball coaches at every level is, I don't care which ones.
Well, the thing about basketball is that you get chewed out by both coaches at the same time. Going beside, one chew you out. They think one way about the call. It could be the same call. You go down the other, and the other coach at the same time has something else to say to you. At least in football, you're dealing with one coach for the most part. For at least a half, you're only dealing with one personality. Basketball, you got to understand how to deal with multiple personalities, and then the players.
I don't know. In football, you got the coach, his assistants, the DC, the HC, and how many people on the sideline, up goal line that told you screwed up a play.
Shoot, I mean, they need to stay in their 20s, stay in their coaches.
That's it. That's it.
I at least get a break when I go in the red zone.
And you and Craven, I got them thousands of fans. Me and Monty can hear the fans tell us we know what car you drove.
But don't have no rabbit ears. Quit listening.
Hey, you can't help but to hear when there's 20 people in the stands. You know what I'm saying?
Calling your name. So, Maia, is there any thought of trying to progress in basketball still as you're progressing in football? Which one's gonna win out?
I have no idea. You trying to get me in trouble here?
Just be humble.
So I can get cut from all my jobs?
Be humble. This the humble.
So let me ask that in a different way. Is there a different grind to moving up in basketball than it has been for you moving up in football?
So so the basketball grind for me was a little bit different because I've already had such a high level experience in football. So a lot of that stuff carries over to the basketball court. Now it's just understanding basketball and understanding how to work that game. But still, everything that you have as a professional is going to carry over to the opposite sport. So it wasn't as difficult for me to move up quick in basketball as it was in football. I think it was almost like at the same pace that I moved up in basketball. But in terms of like the grind, like I'll get off a football Zoom call and I'm on a basketball Zoom call right after that. So for me, I like to put the work in. Like it's always going to be a grind whenever that you like something, there's an interest. And whenever you're trying to be the best or try to be really good at something, you have to put work in regardless of the opportunities and things that you have. You still have to put the same amount of work in.
So did you notice in basketball the issue with the uniforms as you did in football?
Nah, man. See, the thing about basketball is like it's a completely different culture. The culture of basketball is completely different. And it was a breath of fresh air to me because I'm in football, which is very, very conservative. And it's a specific way. It's very conservative and it's super male dominated. As you go to basketball, you look at it, the basketball has already had, before the NFL put a female in, the basketball has already had 2 women in it over 20 years before NFL did it. So basketball is already a little bit more open to the female advancement than football was. And then also on top of that, not only is there a men's side, there's also a women's side, you know, where they're actually looking for officials, you know, women officials, people who are experienced, people who are in shape to actually work on those levels. So that kind of works out for me that as well. But the basketball culture is more accepting of women than the football culture is.
What level of basketball are you working right now?
So I'm working the highest level I do work Division I basketball.
Wow. Hit the button, Monty. Hit the
Now basketball is a lot different because basketball, you can work multiple different conferences during the season, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But what about the kids? What you doing? You taking all these football and basketball games. What about the kids?
So now the weird thing is with basketball, like the part of the world I live in, like in the Tidewater area in Virginia Beach, we're more basketball dominated than we're football. So I can drive, I have like 1, 2, 3. I have about 5 or 6 Division I schools that I can drive to, like within 2 hours, 2-3 hours, and I can be back at work the next day, you know, without a problem. Or like even like you work in Division II, because when you work basketball, you don't just work Division I. You're still gonna work. There's a basketball game every night, so it might be D2, it might be high school, it might be JUCO. You're gonna be able to get work because there's just a lot of stuff to do.
You still working high school?
I'm still working high school.
Guys, come on now. No.
Gotta get them dollars.
I mean,
you gotta let somebody else
Daddy
get
dollars.
that. Come on.
Trick Daddy dollars.
You gotta let somebody else get that money. You already D1.
I mean, let me tell you this. I actually had a week. I'm not even gonna lie. I had 1 week last year, which is why I'm kind of happy that this COVID thing happened because it gave me a break. I had a week last year. I think I worked on a Monday night. I worked like a women's Division I game. Then on a Tuesday night, I worked like a men's JUCO or something like that. Tuesday night was like men's JUCO. Wednesday night was a boys high school basketball game. Thursday night, I take that back. Monday was like another high school game. I had a high school game Monday, a D2 game, JUCO game on Tuesday, a boys high school game like on a Wednesday. I had a Division I game on a Thursday. I had Friday off because I ended up flying and working a Conference USA game like on a Saturday and then come back on a Sunday. So I had a different set of rules every single day that week, or a different set of rules, different set of mechanics.
You can't make all the money. You can't make all the money.
I'm not trying to make the money. I do it because I love it.
Putting in that grind though. It's them hours. You got it. Just like what Byron Boss said.
Already at D1.
But you got to get them snaps. You got to get them snaps.
Well, in basketball,
all money ain't good money.
Basketball, I know a lot of basketball officials that work the Final Four that still works high school basketball because they are just wanting to just get those reps in just constantly. So the travel that you have for basketball requirements is a lot different than the requirements that you have for traveling for football, correct?
Correct. So like a football game, you especially if I'm working on the West Coast in the Pac-12, you think about leaving on a Thursday night and to get there, so you take a Friday off of work. So now you have a whole day of Friday where you're not at work just to work a game on a Saturday. So and also when you go to a football game, then I know that it may be different this year because of the COVID. We're there 3 hours before time. Basketball, you just have to be in the city 90 minutes before
in the city. That's it. You just got to be in the limits.
Yeah, pretty much at the gym like 90 minutes before.
Goodness.
You work in like a college basketball game. If you work in Division II, 60 minutes. But for me, I just keep it 90 minutes all the way around, just so I stay sharp and stay in the same type of routine.
Absolutely.
So that's
So you gonna be ready for those. You gonna be ready for those Pac-12 after dark games. You know, that 8 p.m. Pacific kickoff time. You know, that's 11 o'clock at home for you.
I mean, I could sleep all day prior to that. Ain't no big deal.
Wow.
I will tell you this though, the toughest time change I ever worked was when I had a game in Hawaii.
Hit the button, Monty.
That was I had a bowl game in Hawaii. I worked the Hawaii Bowl one year. And
I think you're gonna have the record of the big time button today, but it's all good because you've had an amazing career and you should be proud of it. Nobody should make you hide from it. I actually like the Maia that I see now compared to the first one I saw. You can kind of tell that you were a little bit in a shell and you wasn't being yourself. Now that true swag, you know, that New York swag and popped out, and it's like, hey, I don't care how I got here, but I'm here and I'm doing all that I'm required to do plus more to stay here. And
Put
that's
some
the
respect on the name.
That's right. You know, I don't care how the door open, just as long as you're doing what it requires to keep the door open and keep pushing the next door open, what you're doing. And we all have to give you credit for that, is that you haven't just taken this opportunity that you've had to say, hey, look at me, you know, I am who I am, give me the job. You continue doing what it takes to move up and grinding just the same way. Is this you were blessed to have majority of your grind at the Division I level.
We still working, Monty. We'll get that.
It all come to fruition.
Right.
Just wait.
I got one for you. So, what advice would you give someone wanting to enter being an elite official, a young person like yourself? So you saw a younger you. What would you tell yourself?
all right. Oh man.
What?
I'll just say, just be prepared to make a lot of sacrifices, especially if you're young and you get started at a young age. You have to make sacrifices in order to get to specific levels. But then on top of that, you still have to be able to find that work-life balance, because it's so easy for you to be so hungry. Like for me, I was super hungry. And so I was always just working no matter what it was. And sometimes I'll put things on the back burner. I missed a lot of family events, missed a lot of birthdays. I missed a couple of weddings just because I was committed to something. A lot of people think football is just in the fall, but for me, football has been year round. For me, you know, pretty much since I got into Conference USA, it's a commitment. And sometimes we're afraid to turn something down because we think somebody else is going to take our spot. That's the competitive thing about football.
Absolutely.
But in that, I would say you always just have to make sure that you keep your family first and make decisions based off of keeping your family.
Hey, no weddings in the fall.
Going to the game.
All right.
But it's,
weddings
you know,
in the fall.
it's all those. But the tough ones is the spring, and that's the big commitment. We have all our spring football commitments and all that. People thinking, oh, it's not football season. It's like, hold on, spring football is busier than the fall, because spring you can get a practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, all throughout the weeks and the weekends. Compared to the fall, you know,
Oh, yeah, we can't turn them down. Yeah, that was the trial periods for me and Monty. So if they say we gotta be at UCLA at 10 o'clock in the morning, we either got the flu
on a Tuesday. All right, Maya. So what we're gonna do now, Maya, is we're gonna play a little game.
All right.
It's called Under Review. So you got to put your cap on, your ref cap, and just think quick with us. All right, here we go. All right, Maya. Where has officiating allowed you to travel that you would have never went to had it not been for football?
Idaho.
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 Boise?
Hey, I'm not going to Boise just to go to Boise. But Idaho's the most, Boise, Idaho's the most recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Maya. What career accomplishment has made you the most proud?
I don't think I've got it yet, to be honest. I don't think I'm there yet. Like right now, it's just taking everything with a grain of salt, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Okay. Right now, we're talking about now, not we just what because you already done stunning on us with you Conference USA year 4.
I like the answer.
You in the Power 5.
Yeah,
I think it's a good answer.
ODP.
That is
so what makes you so proud? Because you already done stunning on us the whole show.
I mean, it's what makes me proud is just being able to do it. Like, you know, there's a lot of people who don't get asked back the following year. So it's just me being always able to have somebody offer me a contract every year. That's like the most proud because people get fired left and right.
That's right.
Right. Forget the bowl game assignment. Am I getting rehired?
Exactly. Bowl games happen just because of numbers sometimes. So.
Right. Exactly.
They ain't supposed to know that.
All right. Final question, Maia. And you touched on a little bit. What do you think of when you hear the R say the previous play is under review?
Me now or me my first year in? My first year in, I'll be like 5 because I'm giving up that $5 because my play is gonna get overturned. But like me now, like the most recent me, when he's going to review for special, because my play, I'm almost like, yeah, I told you so, because I know I got it right. So
awesome.
That's just how I feel.
Thank you, Maia. I appreciate that. All right,
so
Maia,
Maia, we really appreciate you coming on the Unofficial Lounge. You know, I'm gonna have to apologize for Ashanti again. You know,
I ain't doing nothing.
we just can't keep control of him sometimes. You know, but
I'm unapologetic. I ain't do nothing. I'm a victim.
You always a victim, and you never apologize. We know it. We know it. But he's becoming world famous for being that guy that he is. But no, Maia, we really appreciate it. You have an amazing story. Hopefully we get the opportunity to do this again, especially after the first year is over, kind of get your experience. It's going to be a little different with no fans and so on, but just the whole grind of each and every week. You coming to the West Coast. What, the closest game for you is Colorado?
Is it? I mean, you know, I've been to UTEP a couple of times with Conference USA, but, you know, it's nothing but a plane ride. You know? Nothing but a plane ride. I'm just
gonna get them miles. You're gonna get them miles.
I'm just happy to be working with the people I'm working with and, you know, just being a part of the conference. You know, it's a lot of good people around there.
Well, we're happy to have you and look forward to the since we don't work the same position, look forward to hopefully one day we can work together.
Right? That would be lovely.
Some fun times.
I worked with him in a high school game. He's overrated.
I'm asking for favors and I just got in.
It's overrated. I worked with Craven in a high school game recently. It ain't that.
You sound like
it ain't
a
all
hater.
that. It ain't all that.
That's his name. I told you that's that LL Bean.
Right.
That ain't LL Cool J.
Right. But when you talk about making demands when you get hired, nobody has. We actually released Chuck's podcast a week ago, and his was the best. He got hired by the Pac-10, and he said, "Hold on, I'll call you back." Called his old boss, then called his new boss back and said, "Okay, I'll take it, but you have to give me a full schedule."
Chuck is man.
That's Chuck.
Man, he hasn't changed.
No,
right. So it's an amazing story, and thank you for your time. I know it's late there on the East Coast, but thank you so much, and we'll look forward to having you.
All right, appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you, Maia. Maia Chaka, everybody.
Don't hang up, but we're going to stop recording.
All right, everyone. The first season's over, and we're already working on that second season. We have the first person to ever get under Ashanti's skin, Melissa Cannon, D1 basketball official.
Oh, so wait, did you Otis grow up together? No.
Well, ain't everybody from Alabama? Aren't they all related?
Everybody in Alabama don't know each other.
Y'all wasting the good part of the doggone show with this pounding. We need this doggone turn on the
Yeah, I'm
mic.
about to go back to Ancestry and me after the show.
We've got Matt Jordan, Pac-12 umpire, giving out some sage wisdom.
The people who are going to tell you the truth are the people you need to get with on the regular.
Some of the other guests that we're going to have are going to take us way outside the officiating arena and on to the set in Hollywood and Atlanta, Georgia with Tyler Perry, Brandon Davis, screenwriter to the stars.
It's called The Line, yeah, and it's based off a book called Scandals of 51 by Charlie Rosen. And Charlie's a great guy. He was just featured actually in the Jordan documentary. I don't know if you guys saw that. I was still teaching when I got the Black Eyed Peas gig with Kevin, and then we did a good job on that. And then the Nike people saw it, and then pulled us in to write some LeBron James commercials.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to please like and subscribe, as the Unofficial Lounge is available on all your podcast streaming outlets, including Apple, Google, Spotify, and Anchor. We look forward to you joining us next time in the Unofficial Lounge.
Don't forget to listen to the Rule 11 officials. They'll give you your officiating podcast fix while we're on a little bit of hiatus. See you soon.